Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It's my responsibility to now begin this function, and I'm going to ask you, please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. You may be seated. My name is Vando Palmer, and I am your Master of Ceremonies and will be piloting the proceedings over the next, I would say, 60 minutes as we officially launch the social pension program for those who are very vulnerable in our society, 75 years and older. Normally, you will have the chairman's opening remarks, and I'll make mine very, very brief by just restating a little thought that says we rate the ability of men not by what they have attempted, but by what they have accomplished. And I'm happy to say today, the government made a promise to implement this social pension program after many years since path. And that promise was made, that promise has been kept. May I now invite Mrs. Elsa Mark Willis, a project director in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, to come now and do the prayers for us. Elsa?
Shall we stand for prayer at this time? Heavenly Father, we thank you for life. It's because of you that we live and move and have our being, and we are eternally grateful. We ask at this time for your forgiveness where we have not obeyed your words, and we ask for your mercy. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this Jamaica land we love, and for the people of this country. We are a great nation under God, and we thank you, Lord, for that. We have been through many tests and trials, especially in the last year, but you have sustained us and kept us even through this perilous time. Lord, as we come this afternoon to launch this new social pension program for the most vulnerable of this nation, we thank you for the insight, the vision, and the wisdom that you have given unto us for the creation and the design of this program. Lord, we thank you for the social protection system that we have in this country that is so robust and has helped many thousands of Jamaicans to benefit who are living below the poverty line or they are most vulnerable. Lord, we thank you for the persons who have worked tirelessly to ensure that persons who are in need receive these benefits on a continuous basis. We ask a special blessing upon them at this time. Lord, as we launch this program this afternoon, we come to you for your blessing. We ask for your guidance. We ask for continued success in the implementation of this program, because we know that through you we can do all things. We ask, dear Lord, that we look to you because you are the master teacher in service delivery. May the persons who benefit from this program that we have designed help that they will receive love and empathy and kindness as they participate in this program. Thank you for these mercies, and we give you thanks for all the blessings and the success that this program will achieve, because we ask these mercies in your precious name. Amen.
Thank you so very much, Mrs. Mark Willis. Now, there are some very special persons among us this afternoon, and I'm going to ask our permanent secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Mrs. Colette Roberts-Risden, to come now, do the official welcome, and at the same time to give us a brief overview of the social pension program. P.S.
Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Vando Palmer, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister of Jamaica, Honorable Carl Samuda, Minister of Labor and Social Security, other invited guests present here with us this afternoon, members of the ministry's team, members of the media, and those joining us virtually this afternoon. Good afternoon, and let me extend a very warm Jamaica House welcome to everyone. This program, the social pension, is the first of its kind to be implemented in Jamaica, and it will play an integral role in providing a social safety net for some of our most vulnerable senior citizens. This program has come at a time when many across the world are experiencing the global pandemic, and several households are seeing a reduction in their income. I'm truly honored to be part of this historic occasion as we collectively work to ensure that our senior citizens 75 years and older who are not in receipt of a pension, a disability benefit, or any other retirement benefit or income are provided for through the government. Social pensions are defined as non-contributory cash income from the government to older persons. These types of pensions may be universal, but we know, unfortunately, in Jamaica, we do not have all the resources to provide for all of our 75 older persons. And so this program that we have implemented targets persons 75 years and over. Although the government over the years has made significant provisions for elderly, we recognize that gaps exist, as some who need support are excluded. We have many of our older persons who in their young years acquire assets, but as they age, they are now income poor. This has resulted in many of our older persons who are genuinely in need of support for their survival, not having any steady means of income. Many did not contribute to the national insurance scheme and so are without a pension. And so the introduction of a social pension will enable us as a country to secure the welfare of our older persons and to promote a better quality of life for Jamaica's older population. The Cabinet recently approved the National Policy for Senior Citizens, which will be tabled in Parliament shortly. This policy is also another expression of the government's commitment to our older persons. In closing, let me publicly thank the staff of the Ministry of Labour and Social Security who have worked tirelessly to make this program a reality. Implementing a program reaching our older persons during a pandemic was no easy feat for our staff. Many were concerned about their health and safety, but they put the needs of others before themselves. And to the staff, I would like to publicly, again, express my appreciation. We will be doing everything in our powers to ensure the smooth implementation and handling of this program, Prime Minister, and so that the full value of the social pension is received and that our people may feel safe to live and work in our beautiful island of Jamaica, knowing that we promote active aging and that we truly value and care for our older persons. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, PS. Now, as I go around in recent times and people start to talk about the social pension, one of the questions that they always ask first is, what is a social pension? Even today, PS, while I was on the outside, there were staff members here at Jamaica House who said, what is this all about? So to give you a little insight as to what the social pension program is all about, I'm going to invite you now to take a look at this docu-feature.
My name is Jeffrey Henry Brown. Things rough. And my son, when him get any little thing, him buy banana, Anthem, and the tin mackerel. And him come and cook. And him help me now. Him is all I have to help me now.
My name is Marcia Moncrief Beckford, and I'm the caregiver for Vincent Vivian Mason, and he is 106 years old. Honestly, I have not yet even signed up the form, and I'm grateful already because I see where it will be useful to me. I'm presently not working. I'm a retiree right now, out of government, and it's a must that he has to be taken care of.
The government of Jamaica is ensuring that no one gets left behind through the introduction of a social pension program for the elderly.
Madam Speaker, our social safety net. In the time of this pandemic, there is no question that issues of equity and fairness have arisen. Our relative success in managing the pandemic has not only been that we have been able to ensure that we preserve lives. That has only been that we have been able to keep our economy going. But if you stop just for a moment and consider that in this pandemic, this government has been able to ensure the protection of the most vulnerable people. We have committed to a social pension.
But what is a social pension?
Well, a social pension is a benefit that countries provide to persons who, by virtue of their age, being elderly, are in need of support. So a social pension, it's not like the national insurance scheme where to benefit you have to contribute. In Jamaica, the social pension program that we will be introducing will be targeting those persons who have no income and are over the age of 75. We know that with age, persons can no longer work. Many of them may not have children or other family members to support them, and some may not have a pension.
Madam Speaker, I'm truly happy that we will implement the social pension program this year. This program is the first of its kind in Jamaica and is the largest social protection program to be implemented by the government since the introduction of PASS almost 20 years ago. The truth is, while we have made significant strides in the provision for our elderly, there are gaps in the system. Without a steady stream of income, older persons are more vulnerable, and some are left with little or no support from their families or communities. The introduction of a social pension will enable us to reduce income inequality and promote a better quality of life for the older population.
The first phase of the program, which begins in July 2021, targets seniors over 75 years who are not in receipt of a pension, disability benefits, or other retirement benefit or income and are not living in a government institutionalized care facility.
You see, I will pinch it and buy a little food. My son will know how to stretch it. I pay my light bill.
Thank the government and everybody who prepared for us.
I want to tell Mr. Samuda, much thanks for this gesture.
All right, there you have it, Minister Samuda. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know, what a lovely way to segue into the remarks that are coming to us now from none other than our own Minister of Labour and Social Security, the Honourable Carl Samuda. Minister, your time.
Thank you very much. Honourable Prime Minister, first let me say what a pleasure it is to have you as our keynote speaker and participant here today. In fact, I had no say in the matter because the entire staff insisted that we would not launch this until you're able to come. So thanks very much. I also wish to start by extending the warmest possible thanks and appreciation to those persons in the ministry who labor every day and at times at night to ensure that those who are most vulnerable are reached, assessed, and taken care of. Without their absolutely valuable contribution, what we are doing here today would not be possible. We have started off on a good footing, but we have a large number of people who have to be seen and assessed. And before going any further, Prime Minister, this is a golden opportunity for you to re-emphasize the importance of the introduction of the NIDS. Because when the PATH program was first developed, there was not an insistence on data collection, date of birth, and so on. So many persons who are on the program have no such database. So we have to be going house to house, seeing everyone, verifying everyone. And as a consequence, quite a significant number of those who are registered on PATH are no longer on PATH. Many have passed on, and it is the necessity of the ministry to ensure that we, in essence, clean up that list so that every dollar spent to support the poor and needy is spent in a way consistent with the original intention of heart. That is a very important aspect of what we are doing now. Prime Minister, the program is one that I initially, as the minister on the spot, launched in the Parliament. But in our meetings, it became clear to me that we couldn't do it with the existing size staff that we had. We just couldn't reach. So I prevailed on the Minister of Finance, who I am eternally grateful for his support, in funding a cadre of young people, 315 or so at the moment, who are on the job, to go throughout the length, and these young players have been chosen from across the length and breadth of the country in every constituency. And so their job is to be the energy, be the legs that we have needed for so long to reach out to the participants on PATH and to identify new persons who will be coming in. We have only been able to extend payments to just over 2,000 this month. Next month, we are hoping that that will increase to about between 8 and 10,000. And so on, it will expand and develop, so we will have that mass reach. And we are expecting that early next year, we would have, through this effort, cleaned up, as it were, the PATH list, so that we know exactly how many recipients are there. We know exactly how to project the funding necessary, and from there, we will then begin to establish even better programs that will reach out to the poor and the needy. Prime Minister, in my short involvement with the Ministry of Labour and Social Security, I can tell you, it has reached my heart. I cannot think of a more valuable contribution that can be made that is more worthy of praise than that which is located in the Ministry of Social Security, the Social Security side of the ministry, and supported by the Labour side of the ministry. It's a marvelous opportunity, and I thank you for that opportunity. And I look forward with the team headed by our permanent secretary, who's going away and leave, I understand, shortly. But that's always my luck. As soon as I start to get my legs, a little pressure is added. It keeps me young and fit. So I won't need to collect my money under the social pension yet. But Prime Minister, you know where my heart is. You know what my feelings, where my feelings lie in respect of these matters. And as it is often said, these happy folks who are here appreciate it, and they support you for it, because it is out of your initiative that this is possible. They didn't come here to listen to me, they came to listen to you. And with that, I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so very much, Minister Samuda. And if I may just tell the Prime Minister, sir, that the services of the ministry, a lot of people in Jamaica don't even know about them. So on the insistence of the PS and the Minister, we have 3 coaster buses that have been retrofitted, and we are going to take it to them. So come about the middle of August, Prime Minister, you will hear about our Take It to Them program, where we are going to be out in the communities, and along with the members of the 300 Brigade that the Minister just spoke about, we are going to be out there taking the services to the people of Jamaica. You know, as you get older, people think you're old, you have no use, but not so. in Jamaica, we are promoting active aging. And one of our senior citizens, a member of the Senior Citizens Council of Jamaica, has sat down, put pen to paper, and has come up with a poem relating to this very program that we are launching here today. Take a listen, take a look.
Make we mention the new social pension. The government of Jamaica has a new pension offer for senior citizens 75 years and older. You must not currently be in receipt of a pension or living in a government golden age institution. You need proof of age. A birth paper or a passport will do. And your TRN and NIs too. Your government ID is a must, and your bank account or payment agency no fuss. Come from the streets, come from the lanes, come from the hills, come from the plains. Employ whatever the word. Let nothing stop your effort. So don't get nervous. Don't say this is not for us. Get help, show up and register at the ministry or any government appointed center.
Thank you so very much, Junior Dunn, one of our senior citizens. Well put and well presented. And Junior, I can tell you that while you were there going through, the Prime Minister was taking you in, and I saw a broad smile on his face. You did well, Junior. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to invite to speak to us now none other than our own Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Holness. Prime Minister.
Vando, I don't know how you could have seen the smile on my face when I am very much masked. But there was a smile, and it radiated through my eyes. Yes, so you would have seen the radiation from my face with that very beautiful poem by our senior citizen. Let me say that though this is a media launch, we do have a virtual launch. We do have persons within this room, and it is important that I say, Minister Samuda, that all protocols have been observed. And having observed the COVID protocols, let me acknowledge the Honorable Carl Samuda, Minister of Labor and Social Security, Mrs. Colette Roberts-Risden, Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, Mrs. Elsa Mark Willis, Project Director, Ministry of Labor and Social Security, members of the National Council for Senior Citizens, distinguished ladies and gentlemen who have joined us virtually, members of the media, good afternoon. I am extremely pleased to officially announce the commencement of the new social pension program. On the 22nd of July, the first set of pensioners received their social pension payments. Apart from the COVID-19 allocation of resources for employees, the CARE allocations, and the social and economic recovery, the SERVE programs, which are pandemic-related, the new social pension program is the largest social protection initiative since the program of advancement through health and education, which we commonly call the PATH program. I want us to absorb that point just a little bit. The last time that the government institutionalized a social support program, a social safety net program, would have been approximately 20 years ago with the PATH program. Now we are institutionalizing another program, which we call the new social pension program. the beneficiaries of PATH will attest to the impact of that program on their lives. There is no question about it. Certainly for the children who have been able to go to school, and for the families that are at or below the poverty line, who would have had their household income supplemented so that they can get the basics to live. This program PATH would have been recognized, particularly within this region, as a model program for social safety net. Now, with our new program, our new social pension program, we are creating another layer of social protection, which we expect will become a model for the rest of the region. Approximately 800 million Jamaican dollars has been allocated to the social pension program in this year's budget. And I here want to acknowledge the work that was done directly by the Minister of Finance and the Ministry of Finance in ensuring that the resources were there to make this possible. The social pension program is not a new concept. Many other countries have this program. And indeed, Jamaica has been contemplating this since 2014 in keeping with our social protection strategy. Now, underpinning the social protection strategy is the concept of a social protection floor, a foundation for basic income security, which recognizes that the government has a moral and social obligation to guarantee a minimum level of protection for all its citizens. It's a very important point that we should spend some time to look at. Now, what we have just said here expands government. It expands the obligations of government to its citizens. And it defines it particularly for our vulnerable citizens. We have a moral and social responsibility, obligation to guarantee a minimum level of social protection for all our citizens. That's a very profound statement. It's very important that it be said because Jamaica is on a pathway of recovery from the pandemic. Jamaica is on a pathway to growth. And it has not always been the case that as we recover and as we grow, the dividends of the sacrifice for recovery and growth is properly shared. Indeed, as we move into the emancipation period and we reflect on our history, I'm sure it is a common consensus that the society as a whole has not necessarily treated fairly or ensured fair and equitable distribution of endowments, which is the underpinning of much of our social problems. This government recognizes that. This government takes that point of view seriously. We recognize it in securing the rights of the individual and guaranteeing the rights of every citizen. And we also recognize it in guaranteeing and recognizing the economic rights of every citizen. We obviously will not be able to do it all at once. We won't be able to provide that minimum floor for everyone all at once. But it is important that that statement be made, that we recognize that we have that moral and social obligation, and we are starting to do it, if even incrementally. And you would have seen that principle being played out during the pandemic, where whatever savings we had from the fiscal discipline and the sacrifice of labor and capital, we used it in such a way as to spread it widely across the society, and in particular to direct it to the vulnerable and the indigent. You saw that in the CARE program. You saw that in our SERVE program. And you're seeing it now in our new social pension program, where we are targeting those persons 75 years and older. And I will further explain the qualifying parameters to become a beneficiary. Now, across the world, improving medical procedures, pharmaceuticals, medical technology, and generally better health care means that more people are living longer and more productive lives. Jamaica, like many other countries, has an aging population, believe it or not. And our life expectancy is increasing. The percentage of elderly persons in the population is expected to increase from 12.6% to 16.5% by 2030. And 2030 is just a few years away. And to 22% by 2050. I'll see you there as well, Minister Samola. At the same time, while participation in the National Insurance Scheme, the NIS, is mandatory, and when NIS was established, that would be almost 50 years ago, Minister Samola. It was a very controversial move. Some people turned around the acronym. Now, today, it is a staple of our social safety net. And as small as it is, people depend on it for their survival. And we would love to certainly make it far more extensive and a larger benefit, but you will see the challenge that we face. Only 47% of the employed labor force are active contributors to the NIS. Now remember, the NIS is a contributory scheme. So if you pay into the scheme, you can get a benefit out of the scheme. But only 47% of the population is contributing. So whilst I'm at this platform, let me take the opportunity to encourage, especially those self-employed persons, to go and find out about the NIS and how you can make your contribution. And for those employers who are not making the contributions, I'm certain the Permanent Secretary would be happy for me to make the call that you should make your contributions on behalf of your employees. Now, by extension, with only 47% of the employed labor force actively contributing, it means that less than half of the population aged 65 years and over would be in receipt of a pension. So you have a large part of your retired population that is not covered by NIS. It is important, Minister, and our democracy is defined by this, that the people who make policy are also persons who have to deal with constituencies, so that we are not making policies from an academic perspective, in a highfalutin textbook theoretical perspective, but we see the challenges on the ground when we have to interface and interact and deal with constituents. In my own constituency, this is the case, that many of the elderly in my constituency would not be beneficiaries of the NIS. Many of them were not employed during their lifetime. I remember having a conversation some years ago with an elderly person, I was curious in finding out how is it that she was able to survive. She had no means of income. She wasn't able to work. Her situation was, in sometimes when I went to visit her, she didn't have any food. Her house was in a terrible condition. And I began to think, how does she survive? Well, firstly, I discovered that the community took care of her. Every Sunday, her neighbor would cook, and she would get some of the food from the household next door. The other neighbor would look in on her and share groceries with her. So there is a kind of community social safety net. And this is the case right across Jamaica, where someone in the community literally adopts an indigent elderly person. They may not have the means, but they try, they do what they can. And for those people, Minister Samuda, we have to say thanks to them, those who take the time to look out and care for the elderly. And then she had children, but only one would come back and assist. Some of them were overseas, and she pointed out she has not seen her eldest daughter for how long, but she had a last one that would come and assist from time to time. And that's how she survived. I did a survey of my own constituency and realized that the challenge of dealing with the elderly for their care and upkeep is a significant one. And it is the case in many constituencies that, we don't have enough golden age homes. We don't have enough outreach facilities to ensure that they have meals, to ensure that they get a bath, that their hair is combed. It is a really major challenge. I'm diverting, obviously, but just to go a little bit more into it. So I've decided, Minister Samuda, that in my constituency, I have to build a golden age home to take care of those elderly persons who just simply can't take care of themselves. They have no income and they have no means of care. And of course, there is the cultural, traditional thinking that your children will become your pension. So you need to have a fair lot so that at least one of them will be able to come and take care of you. And that is the traditional system of social safety net, social protection. But in this day and age, that system is not going to work. It cannot work. So the state has to step in a far more structured and organized way to reach those persons who would normally be forgotten in our society. So this is what this is about. This is about supplementing not just the NIS, but those who were working in the past, contributed, and therefore would get access to a pension. Those who have been assessed to have met the parameters to become beneficiaries on the path. This program is to get to those persons who are on no form of public support through any social safety net program, and to give them a minimum guaranteed income. That's what this program is about. Now, Minister Samuda, you pointed out an element of the program. I don't want to again divert, but I think it's, since I have this audience, it's important that we unpack some of these things, because I find that the conversations sometimes, as carried, are misdirected, imbalanced, and though valid points are made oftentimes, the complete story is not told. Now, when we did the PATH program and other such interventions, each time we did those programs, we had to set up an entire framework for beneficiary identification. We had, just as what you're doing now, we had to go and create a standing army of youngsters who would go out and literally conduct a census and capture identity information, place it in a database. So you would have a massive database of persons, but that database is only relevant if it is constantly updated. Very quickly, the database becomes irrelevant. People move, people pass on, people move out of the safety net qualifications, more people come in, but you can only do that standing army once, and not everyone is going to come and register, so you don't capture everyone. But the problem that you also have is that you're not able to easily identify duplications. So the prospect of fraud, that someone gets the benefit twice, is high. But as a ministry, spending public funds, the PS will tell you that it is extreme trepidation to go before the PAAC. Sleepless nights, nerve-wracking experience to account for the use of public funds, for which the way in which the society is structured, and how some people want the society to continue to be structured, is that you can't account for the funds because you can't really and truly 100% with a high degree identify who got what. And that's a challenge with an informal society. So behind the national identification system is the need to be able to properly serve those persons who are in need by ensuring that once you identify them, they are in a database that you can track, that they can continue to get their benefits. That database can then become the basis of your digital interaction, because right now, you are going around with forms that people have to fill in. But we have demonstrated that we can reach as many persons quickly if we were to go digital. We did that through the CARE program, And we were able to pick up persons and identify them with a high degree of certainty and ensure that benefit went to beneficiary. The needs will be the basis on which programs like this will work, by ensuring that the benefit gets to the identified beneficiary. So the needs, it's on its way. It's on its way, and we will be able to track and identify all our seniors and provide them with this social safety net guaranteed income benefit. So there are many elderly persons in dire need of financial support, especially those that fall through the gaps for qualifying into existing social welfare programs. Many Jamaicans, in fact, fear the financial vulnerability of old age. Some of them, as I've said before, have no family, no savings, no investment, and there is no guarantee of community support. But P.S., you mentioned another category of Jamaicans, elderly Jamaicans, some who may have assets, but the asset does not generate any income. Such as the lady in my constituency. She has a house where she lives, but that house is in a deplorable condition, dilapidated state. She would have paid down on the land through Ministry of Housing, so she does have a little piece of an asset there, but it is not generating income for her. So there are many Jamaicans who have reached this elderly stage with assets for which they simply cannot invest in, they can't improve it, and it is not generating any income. So they may have assets, but no income. They too need some support and attention. The social pension program will begin by targeting Jamaicans aged 75 years and older who are not in receipt currently of a pension, a disability benefit, other retirement benefits, or cash grants from the PATH or poor relief programs, and who do not reside in a government institutionalized care facility, meaning that they're not in one of the Golden Age homes or one of the local government facilities. Qualifying Jamaicans on the PATH program who have reached the age of 75 will be transitioned. It's a very important point. Qualifying Jamaicans on the PATH program who have reached the age of 75 will be transitioned to the new social pension program. What I said before about the needs is important to this point. When you're on the PATH program, ever so often, you could drop off. You could be revised off the list. You could be expecting your little benefit and it doesn't come. Ever so often, you have to review the program. And so the beneficiary list changes over time. With this new system, once you are properly identified, we know your status. Your status would be updated by virtue of the requirements of the needs. So we would eventually know when you pass on. So you have a better guarantee for a long-term provision of the service without interruption. That is the benefit of having a formal, orderly, structured society. So the introduction of the new social pension will enable us to reduce income inequality and promote a better quality of life for Jamaica's older population, recognizing that many of these persons often have, as I've said, some or no community support. We have targeted as Minister Samuda said, some 300 youngsters and community leaders to assist in identifying these individuals in our communities and to help them apply to the program for the benefit. What makes the social pension different from other types of pension is, as I've said before, it is a non-contributory scheme. This means that it does not require former contributions from an individual. What it is a stream of payments from the government to an individual. So this is coming from the taxpayers' resources, and we are giving a cash transfer to enable a minimum level of income to our vulnerable citizens. In effect, that is a kind of redistribution to ensure fairness and equity in the society. And as I said, this government is very sensitive to that, because as you move around Jamaica, you will see certain sectors booming. You will see many new buildings going up, houses being built, hotels being built, ports opening, and then you have people who are on the periphery and the fringe of the society who can't say that the prosperity is reaching them. And so as we move together as one society, we must make sure that everyone on the boat gets a fair share. And today, we are making sure that our elderly over 75 who are not presently on any social safety net program, that they get their fair share as well. The social pension program is a landmark achievement in the development of our nation's social protection framework for the most vulnerable in our society. I'm particularly proud of the fact that we have been able to implement this program in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic. We have been able to do this because of prudent fiscal management on the part of this government. Oftentimes, the average citizens would ask, what is my government doing for me? It's a legitimate question, and citizens must ask that of their government. Some governments will shake and hide and are afraid to answer. But this government can answer this question anytime it is asked. We are doing the new social pension program. Minister Samuda, for the thousands of Jamaicans who live in poor housing conditions, we have the new social housing program where every Friday, except for today because I'm doing this, I go around the country handing over keys to Jamaicans, improving their quality of life. We have the Hope program, where thousands of youngsters are employed. This government is answering the question. So I saw an interesting video with a young lady, and I saw one with a young man as well, saying I must come find him. All right, man, I soon come. I soon come. Because this government and this Prime Minister works for the people, and we deliver for the people, and we are not afraid to answer the question, what is your government doing for you? Because we have the things to show. So I say to you, consider the extent to which fiscal resources and revenues have been devastated by the onset of the pandemic. Yet, we are able to unveil this game-changing program. Indeed, this is an illustration of how much we can achieve with the right government and the right financial management of our fiscal affairs. And here again, I want to commend Minister Clark and the team at the Ministry of Finance for their prudent management. And in his words, that is in the words of the Minister of Finance, good policy pays dividends. This is a testament to how far we have come and to the resilience of the Jamaican economy. As we look forward to celebrating emancipation and our political independence, we can hold our heads high in recognition of the fact that Jamaica is well on its way towards its economic independence. Our political independence and our quest for economic independence did not begin with this generation. There were many generations of Jamaicans who sacrificed before, including the generation of the 75 years and older. Our society may not have given them the opportunity for them to have earned a living to be able to sustain themselves in the twilight of their years. But this generation owes it to them to provide them with at least a minimum so that they can meet the basics of life for the rest of their life. And we now must set this as a foundation to correct centuries of inequality. And it is appropriate that we do so now as we celebrate our emancipation and our independence. God bless you and thank you.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister, for that comprehensive presentation as to what the government is doing for the people who are most vulnerable. And as I said in my earlier comments, promise made, promise kept. Every time I see the cross, I am reminded that it is the emblem of suffering and shame. And it reminds everyone that that was how they hung Jesus to take his life for us. But Prime Minister, I'm not finished with you yet. I'm going to ask you to come up here along with Minister Samuda. And what we're going to do now is to unveil the logo of the Social Pension Program. So when you see it, you will know that this is the commitment of the government to take care of the most vulnerable. So I'm going to ask you now, Prime Minister, to unveil this. After 2, 1, 2.
There you go.
There you go. So when you see that, you know it is a government of Jamaica new social pension that is attached to it. Thank you very much, Prime Minister. Thank you very much, Minister.
They say to tell
Yes.
So, Prime Minister, that's just one act of you officially launching the social pension program. There is another act, sir, because as you made mention earlier, on the 22nd of July, people receive payments, and they have been calling to say thanks, you know. But I have a Mr. Dudley Morgan from somewhere here in Kingston, might be somewhere known to our Minister Samuda, and he received his he received his payment on the 22nd, Prime Minister. So we have a symbolic check, sir, and I'm going to ask you to present that to him again as an indication that the social pension program is really and truly official in Jamaica today. So, Dudley, could you come forward, Dudley Morgan? Yes? Our Prime Minister Dudley says he would never want to walk out of here without telling you thanks for this. I'm going to give him that opportunity. Dudley. Go ahead.
Mr. Prime Minister, I'm grateful and thankful to you for this check that I've received. Bless you, sir.
All right. Thank you so very much, Dudley. Yes, you may. All right. Thank you so very much, Dudley. Ladies and gentlemen, the social pension program, the first of its kind in Jamaica, has now been officially launched. And you can look forward to us. We will be coming out there in your communities, wherever you are, to find you, to ensure that you become a part of the social pension program as long as you are eligible. Thank you again, Prime Minister. Thank you, folks. All right, so thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. We are now at the end of the function, and I want to thank you so very much for joining us, and especially those of you who are out there in Radio Land. You are tuning in on Power 106, on social media, on all our social media handles, our YouTube page, our Facebook page. Thank you so very much, and see you soon. There are refreshments on the outside for those of you who want to refresh yourselves.